Well, for all of you brave folks, we celebrate the Epiphany tonight. The appearance. Epiphany means he was manifested. He appeared. All of a sudden, God did, in his graciousness, send his son, who, Epiphany, he appeared. And when he appeared, there were those who came to see him following a star. And Isaiah had talked about the light will come. And so whenever we think of the birth of Jesus, we think of the light coming into the world. And John in his gospel says the light came into the world and the darkness tried to overcome it, but it couldn't. Anytime you have a battle and darkness is here and light shows up, battle's over. The light came into the world and the darkness is receding. And it continues to recede because his children are also lights. Christian means a little Christ. He is the light of the world. So what are you and I to be? We are also to be lights. Now, it was also in John's gospel where there was a couple men who didn't think that was the case. They thought they could be secret disciples. You ever known anybody who wanted to be a secret disciple, Father? Nicodemus, it says he came to Jesus by night. He was afraid, and so he wanted to come to Jesus. And Jesus essentially says, you got to be born again, and that's going to bring you out into the light. And then there's another guy named Joseph of Arimathea. It says he was a secret disciple of Jesus. But when Jesus is dead on the cross, both of them come out into the light, and they ask Pilate for the body. And so they realize you have to come out of the darkness into the light. You can't be a secret disciple. If you follow the light of the world, you are called to be light, and you can't remain in darkness. Now, the beginning of my Christian life, I didn't believe that. In fact, I was very hesitant to become a Christian. Now, I grew up a Protestant. Many of you probably knew that. And in our tradition, we didn't baptize infants. When you got to a certain age, you came forward and said you wanted to be baptized, and that was the beginning of your life as a Christian. My older sisters had been baptized at the age of 12. That was kind of a normal time for kids. I'm 15 and a half, and I'm not baptized yet, and I'm not looking to be baptized. Now, there were some reasons for that. First, I realized what it would mean if I was baptized. I got to make some changes, and I wasn't ready for that. But there was another reason, and that is in our tradition, when you were to be baptized, you came forward after an altar call. Now, we didn't have altars, but we had altar calls. You'd come down front, and you'd tell the minister who would meet you you wanted to be baptized. And you might not think this is possible, but at that time in my life, there was no way in the world I was going to stand in front of a bunch of people who were looking at me. No way in this world. No way. I was as shy as could be. I was scared of girls, but I was just shy around everybody. And so I would come and I'd sit in the church on the back pew with the teenage kids and everything, and I would be there, but then I'd leave with my parents. And there wasn't any way I was going forward for baptism. Well, one Wednesday night, we went on Wednesday nights too, the minister pulls me off to the side and says, George, have you ever been baptized? No. Have you thought about it? Yeah. So you've prayed about it? I said, yeah. Well, come back next Sunday night and tell me what you've decided to do. Because, obviously you should be baptized. Okay, I will. And so at that point, it dawned on me, next Sunday night, I'm going to be baptized. It turned out, years later, I found out that was the vigil for St. Vincent de Paul. So I kind of took him on as my patron saint after I became Catholic. But I come that Sunday night, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I got to go down in front of all those people. There's a lot of things that can happen to you when you're walking down and going in front of a bunch of people. They would have you come down and stand up, and he would ask you, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? You would say yes. And then you would go up, and right there where that crucifix is, we didn't have a crucifix, we had a baptistry because we immersed only. So we had a pool of water, and there was a curtain covering it up. And I'm going to be up there in that place in front of all these people gawking at me to be baptized. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Well, that night I come, and it's like, I'm going to be baptized tonight. So instead of sitting back on the back row with the teenagers, I decided to sit over here on the side, kind of close, so that when he says, any of you who'd like to come forward for baptism, I could get up there real fast, and maybe no one would see me. So I'm sitting there, and this is an evening. It's dark already in Connellsville, Pennsylvania, and I'm there, and all of a sudden a storm kicks up. Now the preacher starts preaching, and you had to know Brother Dan. He was a yeller. I mean, he would yell. And honest to goodness, when I was a kid, I thought to myself, if I could see his notes, it would say, yell, yell more, weak point, yell like hell. But I never looked at his notes. He just yelled. And I mean, there wasn't a lot of content there, but he was loud. And so he starts in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, maybe he'll keep going all night, you know? But a storm kicks up, and all of a sudden there's thunder, and then there's lightning. And then I knew two things were true. First, there is a God, because the lights went out in the church. There's a God. Oh my gosh. I could get down there and I could be baptized in the dark. And sure enough, it didn't stop him from yelling. He kept going. He kept going. He kept preaching. And so when it comes time for him to call anyone who wants to come, man, I scooted down there, kind of keeping down like this. And people in the back must have said, did someone go down there? Did you see anything? He's acting like there's someone down there. They couldn't see me. Oh my gosh. God, you are so good. I'm going to be baptized in the dark. This is fantastic. The darkness covers the whole church, and I'm in the midst of it, and I am so happy. And so he asked me, do you believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God? Yes. We go up to get dressed, and as we're getting dressed up there, he's got a flashlight, and I'm getting my garment on to get into pool water. He's getting ready to go in. And then there's a person in that church, and every church has a person like this guy. I call him a wag. Every church has at least one. He says, we can't have a baptism and not see it. So he goes out, he gets in his car, and he pulls it up. Now, the church didn't have steps and had a kind of a big patio. He pulls the car up onto the patio. They open the double outer doors. They open the double inner doors. And when I come out for the baptism, he's got high beams on me. And I'm baptized with high beams on me. It's like, oh my goodness, God, you let me down. And really, after I was baptized, that became a metaphor for my life. Because after I was baptized, then it dawned on me, you can't live in the darkness any longer. I saw my Bible over there, and I thought to myself, man, you carry it to Bible school and church and everything, but now you got to start reading it on your own and actually taking it seriously. You got to change some of your bad habits, some of your attitudes. You can't live in the darkness any longer. You're out in the light now. And that's what God calls us to do on this Epiphany Sunday. Come out of the darkness, brothers and sisters. Come into the light of Christ. The light is in you. We give a lit candle to a baptized person. I didn't get a lit candle because we didn't light things. I got floodlights, but we give a lit candle to people. And that's to say, keep this burning brightly. And every time I do a baptism with the child, I emphasize to the parents, the child is the light. Keep that faith burning brightly by practicing the faith yourself, by teaching the child by how you act and what you say. So that's what we're called to do. So let me encourage you tonight. Be the light of the world that God has called you to be. Just let your light shine. You know, I used to do vacation Bible schools, and we always used to sing, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And we had a second verse, don't let the devil fit out I'm going to let it shine. And then the third verse is, shine all over the neighborhood. I'm going to let it shine. Are we going to let it shine? We let it shine by giving our time, our talent, and our treasure. You know, in that second reading, Paul talks about a stewardship of grace. Now, typically when we think of stewardship, we talk about time, talent, and treasure. But Paul says we have a stewardship of grace. And by being the light of the world, that's what you're doing. You are funneling the grace of Jesus into the lives of the people around you. So that like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you become a blessing wherever you are. There's this one story about Isaac. He's been such a blessing where he lived that he decided to leave. And the local folks got an army together to go get him. And they said, you can't leave. Since you came here, everything has been better. I'd like to think that that was the case for me where I lived. The grace of Jesus is so shining in me, through me, into that neighborhood and those people that they don't want me to leave. Please, George, don't go. I've had a few folks kind of take the opposite attack, but to think that you could be a funnel, a sacrament of the light of Jesus Christ, but that's exactly what you are. So when you minister, serve your family, you serve in your parish, you serve in your community, then the epiphany that came and appeared, and the people who followed that star, the light came into the world, and the light continues to shine through the lives of all of us who follow and serve Jesus Christ. So let me encourage you this new year, brothers and sisters, let that little light shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Amen.